What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. The fashion world mourns the death of Mr. Virgil Abloh. And when I talk about being talented, this is a guy that's full of it. You know, when you think about talent, you think about guys like Jamie Foxx who can act, they're funny, and they can play the piano. But in his own right, Virgil Abloh is like that in a more technical sense. He went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison, which is a very difficult school to get into. He became a civil engineer, then went to the esteemed Illinois Institute of Technology, and then decided that, you know what, after getting his master's in architecture, I'm going to go into fashion. Then started the Off-White brand, and then he, still was a creative director for Louis Vuitton. So again, here's a man that whatever he touched turned to gold. Unfortunately, he fell short. His life fell short to cardiac angiosarcoma. This is a rare heart cancer that he was diagnosed with in 2019. But something else I didn't know about him, that he was married to a lady by the name of Shannon Sundberg, who is now the former Shannon Abloh. Now, I want to talk about this because race is important. He's a successful fashion designer. He's a Ghanaian immigrant, so he's not an African American, although he worked with Kanye West, people like that. But his parents, working class people, this is where he went into these really good schools, primary school and high school. That is where he met Shannon Sundberg. Okay. Now, also his mom taught him how to sew, which is his, passion for fashion. But he met Shannon Sundberg in high school. They both went on to college in Wisconsin. They dated for 10 years. He proposed. And now comes the question that everybody wants to know. Why is it that these successful black men, in this case, a Ghanaian immigrant who became a Ghanaian American, okay? How is it that they're dealing with these white women? Okay? Because that's what people are worried about. If it was Kobe Bryant, it was more hate because he's an African American. But I want to talk about this because here's what's happening in the black world that people don't want to talk about. Developing Dad, he talked about it. But I'm going to tell you what a lot of black men are concerned with, African American. I would believe that some African men are concerned about. And that is, if you live in America, you are quite concerned that the values that you're teaching your children, be it male or female, you're not going to be able to find those values in another child. Okay? Let me say it again. Many black parents are concerned that if their children, male or female, they want them to get married in the race and the community, they're very afraid that they're not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I want to talk about it in Virgil Abloh's case because, well, this is what we see. We can say all day long, well, why couldn't he find a Ghanaian American lady? Why couldn't he find an African American lady? Why is he with this white lady? And again, it goes back to how many black people get with somebody on the come up. I mean, you see this all the time when these guys blow up. Who was the brother that played, that I forgot this guy's name. That, anyways, let me get back to Virgil Abloh. You see many cases of this outside of Denzel, but before he was anybody special, okay? Look at what happened. He'd already met his wife. Not after he got, to certain, I'm already rich. But no, the lady that was there in the beginning. Now, in Kobe Bryant's case, it's a little bit different. But this is what I want to talk about. Here we have another example of a black man, whether it's from the African American community or the African community. Here's a good example of where's the other ladies at that are black that can date these guys at a young age. And let me tell you what's happening. A lot of the African women and Caribbean women, here's what I'm sort of finding out. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But there is incidences where you see these women who come from these tight-knit communities, they are being influenced by the Nicki Minaj's. They are being influenced by the Lizzos. The Haitian American ladies, some of them can be influenced by some of the negative aspects of the hip hop culture. And then they start wanting the same things that African American women want. Okay? He got to be this tall. He got to be this what? And the parents are telling them, listen, you need a guy that can provide. You need a guy who has fatherly instincts. You need a guy who works hard. This is what African parents are teaching their children. And some great African American parents teaching their children. But it comes from these Caribbean cultures too. And what you're seeing sometimes is a lot of these women, they're adapting these negative aspects of what the culture is telling them. So it leaves, I feel, some of these African men, these guys coming from the Caribbean, a lot of those guys are dating out more often than not. When you see that big spike of black men dating out in America, that's, I believe a good portion of that is them. Because the problems that they're having, it's not even in America. Look at Black Canada. Look at Black England. These guys are having an issue finding women that can match the goals that their parents have set for them. Because good black parents in the diaspora, good black parents in any community are teaching, hey, you need to meet a woman that is this, this, and this. If she doesn't have these qualities, you can't marry her. And a lot of these young African guys and some of these Caribbean guys, I believe they're seeing what I'm seeing. They're just not as vocal about it in their community. They're having the same issue. Then when they have that same issue, and when those women are not, being produced to be wives for these guys, then it's a problem when, oh my God, well, why he didn't marry a woman that's black? Well, who is raising up these generations for black men like Virgil Abloh, who are talented and technical, that want to be married? Where are these women going to come from? Do they know how to be wives? I mean, did their parents train them up in that way? No, their parents are teaching them how to be professionals. But what about being a wife? So a lot of these guys, when they're on their way up, they're going to go back to what they know and who was there from high school, who understands the system. That's this white girl. It's different than the story of Kobe Bryant for sure, but the same result. In Black America and in the diaspora world right now, I just really feel that for these black men who are going to stand in the black community and deal with black women and want to be providers and husbands for them, the families have to prepare these ladies to be wives. Okay? You're just not going to be able to compete with these ladies coming from these two-parent homes. It's hard. And for black women who love black men, I get it. I get the frustration. But the guys like Virgil Abloh, when they start going to University of Illinois School of Technology, you start going to University of Wisconsin-Madison, by that time it's over. By the time you get a black man from the inner city going to UC Berkeley, University of Arizona, Harvard, Stanford, at that point it's already over. It's well and done with. Because somebody is there already going to be ready for him already by the time school starts. It's it. It's done. If you even send your kids to these private Catholic high schools, your Jesuit high schools and Christian Brothers high schools kind of programs, and if it's a co-ed school, it's almost over at that point. Okay? It's going to be a problem. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first company in the top. And as you know, the buffoonery remains at all-time high. I'm out.